The thing that we need to focus on most, really, as we get older, is mobility. I have a lot of gym rats, and they go in the gym and, oh my gosh, they're in great shape. You know what I mean? But they start sacrificing mobility for strength.
Mm.
And
Hmm.
let me just tell you something. I'd rather have somebody weak and mobile than somebody strong and stiff,
Right.
because when it comes to the spine, and that is definitely where my specialty is, and when it comes to spine, mobility is the key. You got to keep things moving, and it's a balance. So, you got to move it or you lose it, right? We've heard that before, right? And that's really the key. And hyperbaric is just a way to move stuff through your body. It is one of the best ways to detox our body, and our bodies, most diseases, believe it or not, come from too much acid held onto in an organ, tissue, or gland.
Hmm.
So if we have an organ that can't get rid of the waste, it stores it. And as it stores it, then it starts destroying those tissues, and
Right.
the organ doesn't work as well. So I tell people all the time, it's just a great way to help your body purge toxins.
Hey everyone, this is Jonathan Marx with GoToHealth. I hope you're doing well today. We've got a very interesting show with a fascinating practitioner. We're talking with David Jacob, Doctor of Chiropractic. He's the owner of Back in Line OC Chiropractic Rehab in Orange County, California, but he sees patients from many parts of the United States. David will explain to us the benefits of chiropractic visits, and we'll also talk about hyperbaric oxygen therapy, otherwise known as HBOT. Hyperbaric oxygen therapy puts oxygen under pressure and makes it much easier to get into the body for healing, and we'll learn from David how important oxygen is for healing our systems. We want to keep bringing you the stories and insights you love. Help us out, please, by leaving us a 5-star review on YouTube, Apple Podcasts, or Spotify, or wherever you listen to us. It helps other dedicated listeners like you discover the show. Thanks in advance. So welcome to the show, David Jacob. How are you today?
I'm doing wonderful, Jonathan. Thank you for having me.
Good. So your practice is located where, first of all?
My practice is in Southern California in the city of Orange.
Okay. And your website is?
My website is backinlineoc.com.
Great, good. And you're standing in front of a hyperbaric machine. Tell us what hyperbaric oxygen therapy is and how it can be used with patients.
Well, hyperbaric is a great modality to increase the absorption of oxygen. Our body needs oxygen to heal. If we go without oxygen tissues for a few minutes, they start dying. So how it works is that you go under pressure. My chamber, you go into an extra atmosphere. So it's like going 33 feet underwater. The only thing you notice is pressure on your ears.
Hmm.
But what it does is shrinks oxygen so small that your body can absorb it at high levels. If you know anything about how oxygen is measured, if they say you have 100% oxygen, well, what that means is that you absorbed 100% of the oxygen at that pressure. So
Hmm.
at sea level here in Southern California, it's really about 12 to 15% of its potential is the red blood cells. So when you go in a chamber, it pressurizes or shrinks the oxygen cells so small that your body can absorb at a high level. So that 15% in the red blood cells goes to 100. But then tissues can absorb oxygen that they can't normally without red blood cells. So the cerebral spinal fluid can hold oxygen. The plasma around the red blood cells can hold oxygen. Your skin, your lymphatic tissue, your muscles, all these tissues can absorb oxygen without red blood cells being present, which just stimulates healing. I mean, the healing that I've seen by using hyperbaric for the last 26 years has been amazing.
So tell me, how long would somebody go in this chamber for? And I would assume people may feel a bit claustrophobic. How do you handle that?
Yeah, there is a little claustrophobia. It's mind over matter. I've been doing it for so long that I have little tricks to kind of slowly get them into it. We just first just push them out, and they can push themselves out if they need to. And then we close the door, and then I just slowly take them through that process. I have a lot of patients just go in there and sleep. But your goal is to
Really?
get in there for about an hour, is what your goal is.
Oh, wow. Okay, good. And what kind of health conditions would you use this for? When would you recommend this?
Well, I work with a lot of athletes. So I see a lot of professional athletes that go in it, which decreases their muscle spasm and the swelling, but also speeds up the healing of the tissues. I've seen fractures and, tore muscles healing in weeks instead of months. I also do a lot of wounds. So I've seen even gangrene heal, a lot of swelling disorders. I see a lot of strokes and head traumas because, in those people, they don't get enough blood to the area. So if we can saturate the cerebral spinal fluid, then the tissues can stay healthy while the body is regrowing or getting that oxygen to the tissue, to that area. Since COVID came in, a lot of post-COVID, or people get like a chronic COVID kind of thing, or just the fatigue that you feel afterwards. So it's a great way to do that. We've seen autoimmune disorders. I have a lot of people that, get autoimmune issues and they go do a therapy and they say, oh, I get a little bit of benefit. But then when they go on the hyperbaric, it just makes everything work better. And then I have a lot of people that travel a lot that want to increase their immune system. A lot of people that want to stay healthy and look young, because it's really great for the skin. A lot of pre and post surgical. Really, there isn't many things you can't do with hyperbaric.
And when you said autoimmune before, what are some examples of autoimmune diseases that this would be applicable for?
Just, things like Lyme disease and just any kind of immune disorder. So people that are just having allergic reactions to things that they don't understand, or chronic fatigue issues, those kind of things are just wonderful for it.
Great. And how did you get into this?
Well, that's an interesting story. I was a physical therapist and a chiropractor. And then I would work with a lot of older people and disabled people when I first started my career. And one of the husbands of one of the people I was working with wanted me, his wife was doing hyperbaric and he wanted me to go check it out. So I went to a clinic and I looked at it and I came back to him and I'm like, wow, if it does half the things they say, it really is incredible. And then he was a very wealthy man. And he was like, well, if you think it's going to help people, I want to get one for her and put it in her, her villa. She lived in a retirement community next to me. And they wouldn't let him put it in their villa. So he said, would you like to put it in your office? And, and it gave me an offer on a loan that I couldn't refuse. And we started it that way. My first patient was a colleague's uncle of mine that had a stroke. And all he wanted to do, he came in a wheelchair and he tried to do hyperbaric because he heard about it. We put him in 10 times. And within that 10 times, he just wanted to be able to read his Bible. Really, that's all he wanted to do. And within 10 times, he not only told me what he was reading, but he came in my office with a cane, and was able to walk it. And it really just gave his life back. And that was only a few months after I got it. And I was like, wow, this is just simply incredible. Amazing. And then I had a patient that had gangrene that was going to lose his foot, and he went in it. And within 2 weeks of treatment, you started seeing the black disappear and pink appear. So, and then, like I said, then going in with a lot of the athletes that I've worked with, hearing their benefits, at middle of the game, they feel like they have the energy to start the game. And then I would do it too. And then I started noticing a huge amount of benefit for myself, just energy level, sleep level. I've had 5 knee surgeries. I got a screw in my shoulder. I play hard. And just those injuries really felt a lot better too. So it really is great. And then, I see a lot of people that have gone through cancer treatment. So the radiation and that kind of stuff, or, cancer can't live in high oxygen concentrations. So we've seen some miracles that way. People that have decided not to go traditional medicine and kind of do this. And, and a lot of times there's cancers that the first time they ever seen the cancer cells shrink and disappear. So it really is an amazing healing device. It really is. In other countries, they do it a lot more than we do it here. But, there's a lot of different chambers too. Mine is a hard chamber that goes full atmosphere. I pump in 100% oxygen, so they're breathing 100% oxygen. There's other chambers where they call mild hyperbaric, which have some benefit, but just not the full benefit that we get, because they kind of just, they go 7 to 10 feet under is that the pressure on their body, which is like 1.3. And then they do ambient air. So they're not getting that full oxygen concentration. So like I said, there are benefits from those, but just not as quick or as substantial as ours.
So I'm going to ask a dumb question. I know we all need oxygen to breathe, and that's about all I know about
Okay.
oxygen. But tell us, how does oxygen, and especially, I guess, small molecule oxygen, help in the cells, and how does it work? I mean, what does it do? What are the benefits?
Now, the pressure shrinks the oxygen cell, and that's only important because then your body can absorb it. Once it's
Hmm.
absorbed, it goes back to its normal size and kind of use it. So the oxygen cell is no longer any smaller than usual. But our bodies are acidic producers. Every part of our body has an acidic waste.
Hmm.
And our bodies can't get rid of that acid unless it neutralizes it. Well, what does it use to neutralize it? Oxygen.
Oh,
So,
interesting.
so let's just use the muscles as an example. Your muscles, when they contract, they build up lactic acid, right? If you get a massage and you feel those knots, that's really a ball of lactic acid.
Hmm.
And those balls, develop for a couple of reasons. Number one, if muscle goes in spasm and doesn't relax, it can't let go of the acid. But also, if there's not enough oxygen present in the body, your body can't bind it with something, so it absorbs it and holds on to it.
Hmm.
So, and our bodies are, I tell our patients all the time, is like, our bodies are really smart. I always tell people that, our body has an amazing ability to heal itself when put in the right circumstance.
Hmm.
And a lot of times the right circumstance is not only mental, right? Because peace is the beginning of healing, but it's also the nutrients we get in our body. And that main nutrients our body needs to heal is oxygen, and it will prioritize. It's going to work on the nervous system and it's going to work on the organs and the tissues inside before it starts working on the muscles. But also, that's going to work on the skin because the skin is one of the largest organs of the body, or the largest organ of the body.
Yes.
And it's a defense against organisms, and our body knows how important our skin is. So the skin is one thing that we see heal really fast as well. So depending on what you have going on in your body's going to use that oxygen and go to the number one place. But one really cool thing that happens if you do hyperbaric on a regular basis, and when I say regular basis, I say 10 to 20 treatments in a matter of a couple months
Hmm.
or a few months, your body will start stimulating stem cells to mobilize out of the deep parts of our bones and go and heal organs and tissues. So that leaves a wide open of anything. I mean, stem cell, if it goes to an area, it can rebuild an organ completely. It can develop nerves. It can heal everything in the body. Stem cells are amazing. I go in awe of how incredible our body is and how much it can really heal itself. And that's what I specialize in my clinic. Like I said, as I'm a chiropractor by trade, but I do a lot of other things. We do hyperbaric and we do lasers. Lasers are a great way to heal the body as well. Shockwave, we do therapy, we do massage, we do all that kind of stuff. And what I tell people is I'm interested in doing anything that the body doesn't have a side effect to.
Great. So tell us a little bit, again, I'm going to ask a dumb question. Tell us about stem cells. What are stem cells?
Well, stem cells is how we were made. You know, stem cells is what our body needs to develop every organ, tissue, gland in the body. So all starts with a stem cell. A stem is it's a cell that can really turn into anything.
Mm.
So if you put stem cells in your body and you have an organ, they can track that stem cell and it will go directly to the organ and help heal that organ. I
Wow.
mean, it
Amazing.
really is. It's something that I feel like God gave us to really just,
Yes.
repair things that have gone awry.
Yes.
And we store them in some of our big bones in our body. We have stem cells that are stored.
Hmm.
They normally, as an adult, they don't mobilize. But for some reason, when your body has more oxygen, it knows that it can do more. So then they start mobilizing to go heal, which is
Fascinating.
just kind of mind blowing.
Yeah, really.
All
That's
right.
great. Good.
And I really believe that's a lot of it. That's why, you see gangrene heal. I've seen stroke patients wake up and start communicating. I worked with a lot of, severely disabled children,
Mm.
so cerebral palsy kids, all of a sudden they couldn't do anything, couldn't even track. Now all of a sudden can start tracking their eyes and start kind of developing and communicating in different ways. But it really is an amazing thing. That's a lot of people are now getting stem cell therapy where actually extracting stem cells and putting them back in.
Yes.
Um, there's a lot of things about the umbilical cord because they're high in stem cells. So people keep their umbilical cord so they can get the stem cells from those. So there's a lot of people have been doing this for a while. It's just I like that the body kind of takes control. All I do is I help you get your body in a position to heal itself. And that's why I tell people a lot of times, like, your best doctor is you. You just got to understand. And I'm kind of more like a healing coach.
Good.
I get
Like
to
it.
know my patients,
Yes.
and we figure out, what are they doing out their day? Like I said, I used to work with I still work with a lot of athletes, but I used to really focus on a lot more athletes than I do now. And what I tell people now is like, I'm like, I want to help you treat your lifestyle like a sport. What do we figure? If you're sitting a lot, there's things we can do to kind of do that. And we kind of figure out what they need to modify and change. A couple little tweaks here and there can really do huge things.
Amazing. So I have a trick question for you. It's the
All right.
question I always ask when I don't have any more, which is what question should I have asked that I haven't asked yet?
Oh, that is
Or what message would you like to leave with people today? You can answer either one of those.
one thing I like people to really think about is think about their health. If there's something going on that they don't really quite know, research it. Find somebody that can help you get through that and figure it out. A lot of people ignore symptoms or don't even recognize their symptoms. The thing that we need to focus on most, really, as we get older, is mobility. I have a lot of gym rats, and they go in the gym and, oh my gosh, they're in great shape. You know what I mean? But they start sacrificing mobility for strength.
Mm.
And
Hmm.
let me just tell you something. I'd rather have somebody weak and mobile than somebody strong and stiff.
Right.
Because when it comes to the spine, and that is definitely where my specialty is, and when it comes to spine, mobility is the key. You got to keep things moving, and it's a balance. I tell people all the time is the one thing that we spend most of our time and energy doing, all of us are the same. Even you, Jonathan, you know what it is? We're both doing it right now.
He's sitting.
Well, it's balancing our head,
Okay. Oh,
right?
really? Okay.
Our head's like a bowling ball, and it's sitting up here on this neck of ours. It's just that it's supposed to balance it. Well, our head weight should be supported by our skeletal structure or our bones, which bones can hold weight a lot better. But as we bring our head forward, instead of like this, where the bones are supporting the weight, now the muscles have to support that weight.
Hmm.
And that's the biggest thing. I tell people all the time when they're walking out of my office, I'm like, all right, when you leave here, make sure you're looking for rainbows instead of pennies. Because
That's great.
so many people are looking down. And that goes along with hyperbaric too, because when we look down, it collapses us in the mid thoracic area, and then we don't breathe as well.
Interesting.
You brought up COVID, right? COVID was devastating to a lot of people. But what I noticed quickly on is that the people that had the worst problem with COVID,
Hmm.
okay, were the ones that didn't have a lot of mobility in their mid back.
Interesting.
Because as they compressed their lungs, they couldn't cough, they couldn't move that stuff out of their bottom part of the lungs. So all that muck just sat down there and grew and then constantly got put back in the bloodstream. And the people that could get a productive cough and get it out, then the body was able to get that out of there and then heal.
Hmm.
So, and a lot of the people that, had that problem is because they sat like this all the time. They look at their phone. I can't believe how many, young kids now have worse spines than my older guys.
Wow. Yes.
And it's a lot of times because they're sitting on their phone or they're playing their games all the time. And they just kind of get that posture where they're slouched down instead of opening up, where a lot of people our age, we didn't have that.
Yeah.
We were out throwing a football or playing basketball or running around or doing that kind of stuff, enjoying the outdoors and getting a lot of mobility, where a lot of these younger generations really don't do that. So, you got to move it or you lose it, right? We've heard that before. Right. And that's really the key. And hyperbaric is just a way to move stuff through your body. It is one of the best ways to detox our body, and our bodies, most diseases, believe it or not, come from too much acid held onto in an organ, tissue, or gland.
Hmm.
So if we have an organ that can't get rid of the waste, it stores it. And as it stores it, then it starts destroying those tissues, and
Right.
the organ doesn't work as well. So I tell people all the time, it's just a great way to help your body purge toxins.
Great. I got one more question for you as you're
Okay,
talking here. Uh, You're a chiropractor, and I
I am.
think many people have what do I want to say, a hesitancy to see somebody other than a medical doctor. Tell us when somebody should consider seeing a chiropractor and why.
That's a great question. And I was one of those. I was, like I said, I was in physical therapy first. And I thought all chiropractors are quacks until I had an accident water skiing. I dislocated my shoulder and hurt my ribs. And a friend of mine that transferred to chiropractic had a PT before me, adjusted me one time, and I couldn't believe the difference. And he said, could you imagine that when you crash, that you put a bone out of alignment, that your body didn't have the muscles to put it back in alignment? I went, yeah. He goes, well, chiropractic is that we find those bones that are out of alignment or not moving well, and we help them get back into motion. And when you do that, it heals your joint. You got to remember, your spine gets 90% of its nutrients when it moves. And our nerve, and when they don't move, the disc starts shrinking and put pressure on the nerve. And it only takes the weight of a quarter, right? Jonathan, if you put a quarter in your hand, how long before you stop feeling it? Almost instantaneously, right?
Exactly. It's very
But
light.
that same quarter on a nerve, you lose 48% of the function of the nerve.
Wow.
So my answer to you is that I believe everybody should see a chiropractor. Now, with that said, there's a lot of different chiropractors out there. There's a lot of fantastic ones, and there's a lot of them that maybe aren't as fantastic, or they just don't fit what you do. So when you find somebody that can really connect with you, and explain, a lot of the things about chiropractic is, once you go, you always have to go. Well, once you go to a dentist, you normally like to go back to a dentist, right? I mean, once you start brushing your teeth, you kind of want to continue to brush your teeth. And chiropractic is kind of brushing your spine. But a good chiropractor, I believe, does a couple things. They educate you on your body. So they get you to go, oh, you see how this moves, this doesn't. You see how this goes. So you go, wow, I can really feel that. And then they not only get things moving, but they teach you things that you can modify in between to maintain the motion. I tell my patients all the time, I don't want to see you every day. I don't want to see you. What I want to do is I want you to feel so good that you're so excited that you tell your friends and family, and then they want to come in. Most of my patients get to a point where, they come in every 4 to 6 weeks, and then that's a lot of people that play hard, work out a lot, or sedentary. Right? They're sitting at a desk a lot. Right. Because every 4 to 6 weeks, we kind of look at the spine. How are we doing here? What are we doing here? I can remind them of their stretches. How you doing? You've been icing. You've been drinking water. And then they get a better understanding, and they are able to maintain a lot longer and stay healthier. An ounce of prevention is worth a pound of cure, right? Yep. Well, chiropractic is one of those medical professions that really work on prevention. They don't not only help your body heal, but they really help you understand how to keep your body healthy to make it last longer.
David, I've really enjoyed our conversation today. I've learned a tremendous amount. Thank you so much.
Awesome. Well, thank you. I look forward to talking to you again.
Good. Great. We've been talking with Dr. David Jacob. He's a doctor of chiropractic and owner of Back in Line OC Chiropractic Rehab in Orange County, California. You can find him at backinlineoc.com. And before we go, just a quick reminder. If you like what you've heard, please leave us a 5-star review on Apple or Spotify or YouTube or wherever you're listening to us. It helps keep this content free and reaching the right people just like you. Thanks again, David. It was a pleasure talking with you today.
Thank you, Jonathan. Great being there.
Good. And as I say at the end of every show, we'll see you again next time. And in between that, go to health. Take care. Thank you for tuning in today to Go to Health. You are one of almost 10,000 people per day who enjoy the evidence-based health information offered by our guest health experts. You can watch us on our website and YouTube and listen to us on 8 podcast networks. Be sure to join Jonathan Marx in our upcoming shows each week. If you like our show, please share this episode with your friends and colleagues. You can subscribe to the show, join our email list, send us feedback, browse through the online store, and view our library of over 150 shows at GoToHealthMedia.com. See you next time, and remember to elevate your life with Go to Health.